Played by Ava for 7 years, she said she was tired of it and then turned around to find a younger and more handsome college student. This time, I didn't make a fuss. I threw away the diamond ring I bought for her and cut up the wedding dress I picked for her. I boarded the plane late at night and left the capital city. Her girlfriends all made bets on how long it would take for me to bow my head and beg for reconciliation. Ava laughed arrogantly. Within a day, Ryan will come back begging me like a dog. But day after day passed, and there was still no news from me. She couldn't sit still any longer and dialed my number. Ryan, come back when you've had enough fun. In the 7th year with Ava, I bought a diamond ring and the wedding dress she liked. I summoned up all my courage and was ready to propose. Ava gripped her phone tightly, her voice trembling. Who are you? Let Ryan answer the phone. Sophia lowered her head and kissed me. He can't. He needs to rest. If you have something important, wait until I wake him up with a kiss. In the 7th year with Ava, I bought a diamond ring and the wedding dress she liked. I summoned up all my courage and was ready to propose to her, but unfortunately, I was a few minutes late for the party that day. I happened to hear her chatting with her girlfriends. You mean Ryan? That man has no tricks. I've been tired of him for a long time. Ava took a sip of red wine and smiled with pride. 7 years. Wouldn't you be tired of it if it were you? Those people also burst out laughing. That's true. After 7 years, even the most handsome guy would become boring. But Ryan is really handsome. He also has a great figure. On Ava's birthday last time, he wore a whole set of black suits and was even more handsome than the male stars in the entertainment industry. Seriously, Ava, you used to cherish him so much. Are you really willing to let him go now? Ava's voice was indifferent. When have I ever told a lie? Her girlfriend immediately changed her tone. Then, if I chase Ryan, you won't mind, right? Go ahead. Ava took another sip of wine and said slowly, as long as you don't feel uncomfortable. How ambitious. Aren't you ashamed? You're taking over someone Ava is tired of. There was another burst of laughter. That night, I didn't enter the private room. I made up an excuse and went home first. Ava didn't even ask one more word and just hung up the phone. Probably that night was when my passionate heart was completely extinguished. A couple of days later, rumors began to spread like wildfire in the circle. Ava was chasing a sophomore boy. Perhaps he hadn't seen much of the world. Faced with money and vanity, the man fell for it in just a couple of days. At a friend's gathering, Ava brought the guy directly. As soon as they entered the door, everyone fell silent. Several friends who had a good relationship with me all looked at me with some worry. I smiled and said, why is everyone so quiet? Why are you all looking at me? Ava put her arm around the boy and sat down. Then she finally looked straight at me. Ryan, today is just a good opportunity, so I'll make it clear. Okay, go ahead. All these years of breaking up and getting back together have been so meaningless. Our feelings have long faded. I clenched my hands tightly. The ring hidden in my palm dug deeply into my flesh, but I seemed to feel no pain. You're not as young as he is, nor as sunny as he is. I really like him. Ava held the boy's hand, her eyes full of love. I nodded slightly. Yeah, I understand. We can still be friends in the future. If you have something, you can come to me at any time. I'd rather not. I chuckled and stood up. Since we've broken up, let's make it clear to avoid misunderstandings. Ava raised her eyebrows slightly in surprise. After a moment, she said, that's right. Then you guys carry on. I'll go back first. Shall I see you off? No, I'll just take a taxi. I walked out of the room. When I was casually closing the door, I heard someone ask, do you think Ryan can hold on for long this time? 2 days? He seems really angry this time. Then I bet 5 days. Ava glanced at the door that wasn't completely closed and smiled contemptuously. Within 3 days, Ryan will definitely come back like a dog. Hasn't it been like this all these years? The people sitting inside all echoed, that's right. How can Ryan leave you? Everyone knows that he loves you like crazy. I smiled self-mockingly and walked quickly towards the elevator. Back at the apartment, I took out the wedding dress that she had liked for a long time. I simply cut it up. After all, leaving it here would just be an eyesore to Ava. When I finally left, after thinking about it, I still left her a note. She could dispose of this house and everything in it as she liked. She didn't need to ask me. I booked a flight in the early morning, left the capital city, and returned to the familiar city. After my buddies heard about it, they organized a gathering in the evening. All the people who came were former classmates and old friends. After a few rounds of drinking, someone pushed the door open and came in. Several male classmates' eyes immediately lit up. Sophia? You're really a rare visitor. Yes, Sophia, the beauty. Why are you gracing us with your presence tonight? Sophia's cheeks were slightly flushed. I happened to be discussing something next door. When I heard that there was a gathering of old classmates, I came to join in the fun. As she spoke, her eyes fixed on me for a moment before slowly moving away. My buddy quietly nudged me. Ryan, Sophia came for you, right? I forced myself to look at her. She was a bit taller than Ava and had a better figure than Ava. I squinted and looked at her for a while before withdrawing my gaze and shaking my head. I don't think so. We haven't been in touch for years. But my good buddy ignored me and directly called out to Sophia, Sophia, the campus belle. Could you give Ryan a ride later? We've all been drinking, and we're afraid that if we call a ride-hailing car, she might get ripped off. Sophia's eyes swept over everyone and landed on my face. After about 2 seconds, I saw her nod. Okay. Thank you, the campus belle. My buddy sat down with a smile and whispered to me, Ryan, why can Ava be fickle and flirt around while you can't start a new relationship? Besides, Sophia is such a beautiful girl. It would be a waste not to date her. How do you know she'll date me? My good buddy gave a sly smile. The way she just looked at you was like she wanted to devour you. Believe my experience, bro. When the gathering was over, Sophia drove me back to the hotel. When we arrived downstairs at the hotel, I unbuckled my seat belt and thanked her. Thank you for driving me back tonight. Sophia turned her head to look at me. You're welcome. I pushed open the car door. Just as I was about to get out, I suddenly remembered the words Ava said that day. On a whim, I opened my mouth and said, would you like to come up and have a cup of tea? Sophia's cheeks flushed slightly, but she still silently got out of the car. The moment I opened the door, I looked at Sophia again. Sophia, aren't you afraid? Sophia bit her lip, but her eyes were stubborn and determined. Ryan, I'm not afraid. She kissed me in the elevator. I was stunned for a moment, but when I saw her blushing and hot face, I lowered my head and reciprocated her kiss. When I swiped the key card to open the room door, Sophia suddenly stopped me. Ryan, if you regret it, it's not too late now. Regret what? I looked at her, a drunken smile in my eyes. Why didn't you ask when you kissed me just now? Sophia stared at me blankly. Ryan, are you serious? For some reason, the uneasiness, sadness, and the kind of desperation in her eyes made my heart suddenly ache. I didn't say anything else but just gently hugged her. I'm serious. So, Sophia, give me a little more time. On the 7th day after returning to this city, Ava's little follower suddenly sent me a WeChat message. Ryan, when are you coming back to the capital? I don't have any plans to go back for now. Everyone misses you a lot. Luna's birthday is in a couple of days. Come back and get together. No, could you please tell her for me that I'll send her a gift? There was silence on the other end for a long time. Okay then. Take good care of yourself. In the private room, the girlfriend handed the phone to Ava. Ava, look. Why don't you call Ryan? He'll definitely listen to you. Ava stared coldly at the lines on the screen and suddenly stood up. If he doesn't want to come back, then forget it. Ava, don't be angry. Ryan must be feeling bad. Besides, he seems really hurt. It's also because you and that guy made such a big fuss. We've already broken up. What else does he want? Ava suddenly got angry. Listen up. No one is allowed to look for Ryan anymore. Even if he dies, don't look for him. All right. Don't lose your temper. You just got out of the hospital. It's only when Ryan was around that you didn't have stomach problems. It's only been a few days since he left, and you've already made yourself like this. Ava's face darkened with each word her girlfriend said. In the end, she just stormed out of the room. She walked all the way downstairs. With people coming and going and the cold wind blowing on her face, she became even more irritable. Ryan, you're really something. It's been 7 days, and there hasn't been a single phone call or text message from you. As she spoke, she put my number on the blacklist. You'd better not come crying to beg me. I had just put down my phone when Sophia called. Ryan, accompany me to have hot pot tonight. You'll definitely like it. I'll come to pick you up now. Sophia's clear voice came through. The busyness of the afternoon seemed to be instantly soothed. She took me to a Chongqing hot pot restaurant that had been open for many years. The storefront was old and not very big, but the business was really good. It was just that the glamorous and exquisitely dressed Sophia looked so out of place in this environment. I watched her carefully wipe the chair for me with a tissue. She also skillfully scalded the chopsticks and bowls with boiling water and poured juice for me. For such a delicate girl like her, doing these trivial things didn't seem unfamiliar at all. Sophia, your boyfriend is really lucky. I couldn't help but sigh. Unlike my 7 years of on and off relationship. Only in the beginning when Ava was chasing me did I enjoy the feeling of being taken care of. Later, during the more than 1 year when we lived together after graduating from university, I was just like a male nanny. Ava had a bad stomach, so I learned to cook and make soup. I took care of her daily life personally. But now I finally realized. I loved her so much that I lost myself. I even forgot the principle that one should love oneself before loving others. How could I expect her love to never fade away? Sophia was helping me cook the food in the hot pot while looking up at me. Where did you hear that I have a boyfriend? I was stunned for a moment. Wasn't there a boy always following you in college? It seemed that you two grew up together as childhood sweethearts. Sophia laughed. He's my younger cousin. He's always been the closest to me since childhood. Then you haven't been in a relationship in these years? Sophia looked at me quietly and gently. No, Ryan. Actually, all these years, I've been waiting for you. That night, we went back to the hotel together. After washing up, I carried her back to the big bed in the bedroom. Sophia looked at me nervously, clutching my arm and refusing to let go. Ryan. Are you scared? Sophia shook her head with red eyes. Ryan, I'm willing. Sophia. She closed her eyes and raised her hands to hug me tightly. On the night of our mutual friend Luna's birthday, I asked a friend to deliver the gift I bought to her. Ava was sitting on the sofa, and more than half of the red wine in front of her was already gone. The gift for Luna was a bracelet from a high-end custom brand that Sophia and I picked together. She liked it very much. This bracelet is really delicate. Luna smiled a bit stiffly. She peeked at Ava's face and didn't dare to say much. She quickly asked her boyfriend to put it away. Bring it here. Ava suddenly spoke. Luna was startled but didn't dare to say much. She quickly handed the box over. Ava looked at the bracelet. The brand's logo was very low-key and not conspicuous, but Ava stared at it for a long time. Put it away. She closed the box and pushed it aside. Luna let out a big sigh of relief and quickly reached out to take it. Ava suddenly picked up the empty wine glass in front of her and smashed it hard on the coffee table. The broken glass splattered everywhere, and a long cut instantly appeared on the back of her hand. The private room immediately became chaotic. What's going on? Why did you suddenly lose your temper, Ava? The wound is quite serious. The blood won't stop flowing. We'd better go to the hospital quickly. Ava stood there, motionless, with a gloomy face. Ryan has never bought anything from this brand before. Her voice was low, but also hoarse and gloomy. Luna quickly smiled and said, it's nothing. Ryan might just have picked it randomly. After all, it's not like when it was your birthday. Ryan had been thinking about what to give you half a year in advance. Yes, Ava. Your position in his heart is that the sum of ours is less than 1/10. Everyone knows how much he cares about you and cherishes you. Ava sneered when she heard this. Cares about me? The noisy crowd gradually quieted down for no reason. Ava, why don't I call Ryan? Let's deal with the wound first. Luna suddenly got brave and took a photo of Ava's bleeding hand with her mobile phone. Then she directly sent it to Ryan on WeChat. Ava didn't stop her. Maybe it was because Luna was too quick, and she didn't have time to stop her. The private room suddenly fell silent. Almost 10 seconds later, Luna's phone suddenly rang. Hey, I told you that Ryan loves you and cares about you so much. Ava, look, it's Ryan's call. Luna said excitedly. And everyone also noticed that Ava's expression seemed to relax a little. Ava, will you answer it? Luna handed the phone over, but Ava didn't even look at it and turned her face away. Luna then happily said, I'll answer it. Hee hee. She deliberately turned on the speakerphone. When Ryan's voice came through, the corners of Ava's mouth immediately tightened. Luna, what happened? Are you injured? Hey, it's not me. It's Ava's hand. You don't know how serious the injury is. It's so scary. The blood won't stop flowing. Luna chattered on for a while, but there was silence on the other end of the phone. Ryan, are you listening? Or you'd better come back. Ava refuses to go to the hospital. It's not okay for the blood to keep flowing like this. Luna. Ryan's voice was still deep and pleasant. Yes, yes. You say, Ryan. I'm listening. Luna responded while winking at Ava. Don't tell me about her things in the future. The smile on Luna's face instantly disappeared. Ryan? Also, happy birthday, Luna. Ryan, hey, don't hang up, Ryan. But the sound of the phone being hung up was already ringing out clearly. Luna was completely stunned. She held the phone as if it were a hot potato. She really wished she could slap herself unconscious. For no reason at all, why did she meddle in other people's business and cause all this trouble? The private room was silent. Ava, however, calmly looked at everyone and smiled. Are you all dumb? Everyone dared not say a word. Ava smiled again. Why is everyone so quiet? Ava. Don't get angry. The blood is flowing more now. Ava, you know Ryan's temper best. Stella, who had been sitting quietly in the corner all along, suddenly spoke up. Actually, I've wanted to say this for a long time. What you did before was really hurtful. Ryan is a man. Which man doesn't care about his face and self-esteem? Even if you don't like him anymore, you should part on good terms. Who said I want to part on good terms with him? Ava smiled sarcastically. He's been with me for 7 years. Even if you raise a dog for 7 years, you'll get attached to it. Stella smiled very faintly. Then have you ever thought about it? How many 7 years does a person have? What if Ryan never comes? Impossible. Nobody noticed that there was a barely perceptible tremor in Ava's final note. What in this world is truly impossible forever? When a heart is broken and chilled to the core, how difficult it is to warm it up again. Ava, don't do something that you'll regret bitterly. After Stella finished speaking, she didn't linger any longer. She picked up her bag and got up to leave. Oliver, sitting not far away, looked at her with gloomy and unfathomable eyes. She was his wife of 2 years. Was she standing up for Ryan? Or was she feeling sad at the sight and accusing him of not treating her well as his wife? Oliver, aren't you going to see your sister-in-law off? Oliver curled his lips and lit a cigarette. Who's your sister-in-law? Your sister-in-law is filming right now and won't leave the film crew until next month. Just keep acting up. The friend shook his head helplessly. Oliver didn't comment. Stella didn't dare to leave her. Even if she had 10 times the courage, she wouldn't dare to. 12 I had just hung up the phone when Sophia hugged me from behind. She rested her chin on my neck and rubbed gently against it without saying a word. I couldn't help but smile and asked, "What's wrong? Ryan, will you go back?" "Go back where?" "Back to Beijing. I don't have any plans to go back for now, but maybe in the future. After all, I haven't done anything shameful. Why can't I go back? My home is still there." Sophia didn't say anything again. Only then did I figure out the implication of her words. "Are you asking me if I'll get back together with Ava? Will you?" "I swear I won't. Do you believe me?" Sophia lowered her eyes and gently rubbed against my cheek. "I want to believe you. Sophia, I'm a man. I have my pride. Do you still have feelings for her in your heart?" I thought about it seriously. It wouldn't be realistic to say that I don't have any feelings at all. After all, it's been so many years. Sophia suddenly bit me gently. "Stop talking, Ryan. Let me finish. But if you say this feeling is reluctance or unwillingness, that's not it either." I gently stroked Sophia's face. "I didn't feel that much pain or distress when I broke up with her. So, maybe I stopped loving her long ago. Maybe, since she started being absent-minded about this relationship, I was already prepared for the breakup. I won't do that." "Huh? I won't be absent-minded or fickle." Sophia hugged me tighter and tighter. In the end, she kissed me again. "Ryan, be with me." But I didn't reciprocate her kiss. In the end, I gently pushed her away. "Sophia, I'm sorry." "Why are you saying sorry?" She looked down at me, with a slight redness in her eyes. "It's my own problem." I avoided her gaze. "I don't want to be in a relationship anymore." "Then what were we these days?" Sophia's voice was trembling. "Ryan, what do you take me for? A backup?" I refused to look up at her, afraid that I might accidentally reveal my true feelings. Sophia's eyes were red. She let go of me and slowly took a step back. She seemed to be smiling, but that smile was broken. "Ryan, you can't treat me like this." "Sophia." She turned around, picked up her coat, and walked towards the door. I subconsciously took a step after her, but then stopped. Sophia walked all the way to the door. The moment she grasped the doorknob, she suddenly turned around to look at me. She even smiled at me as if to comfort me. "Sorry, I just want to be alone for a while." I nodded. "Okay, I won't disturb you. Ryan, give me some time. Wait for my answer." Sophia left. I felt as if all my strength had drained away and slowly sat down on the sofa. I felt an indescribable discomfort in my heart. Sophia was so nice and pure. Compared to her, I was so dirty and wretched. Even just thinking about possessing her seemed like defiling her. Could a man like me deserve such a perfect girl? Could I deserve a wholehearted love? In these 7 years, I had been tortured by Ava so much that I no longer believed that I could have such good fortune. 14 It was already 3 o'clock in the morning. Sophia drove back to the hotel where Ryan was staying. She got out of the car but didn't go in. Instead, she leaned against the car body and quietly looked up. Countless windows were lit, but she couldn't tell which one was Ryan's. But knowing that he was there, knowing that he was in Hong Kong, in the same city as her, knowing that as long as she walked in, 10 minutes later, she would be able to see him, it seemed that she was already happy and satisfied. In fact, it took her less than 2 days to figure it out. Quite easily, she managed to comfort herself. Ryan had just ended such a relationship. It was normal that he didn't want to be in a relationship again. It was even more normal that he was disappointed and resistant to women, relationships, and even marriage. Maybe she was too eager and shouldn't have pushed him like that. If he thought that maintaining such a relationship for the time being would make her feel relaxed and comfortable, she actually didn't mind not having a formal title. Was there anything more painful than unrequited love? If there was, it should be a year and a half ago, when she learned that Ryan and Ava had started living together. At that time, she really decided to let go. So she forced herself to meet new people and tried to move on. But after trying, she found it didn't work and ended it resolutely. Later, no matter how much her family urged her, she never had that thought again. If Ryan hadn't broken up and come back here, if he hadn't asked her to go upstairs that night, maybe she would have been alone all her life. Sophia's eyes gradually became calm and determined. But Ryan happened to come back. And happened to ask her that night. If the person she loved came to her side but she still lost him, then Sophia, you wouldn't deserve the happiness you wanted. On the eve of my planned departure, I invited my brother to drink with me. How's it going with Sophia? My brother looked me up and down. Tisk, tsk, tsk. You look so happy. I'd better not hold her back. I don't want to be in a relationship or get married. Ryan, why are you punishing yourself with other people's mistakes? Moreover, it's not fair to Sophia either. They say that the predecessors plant trees and the successors enjoy the shade. I agree with this principle, but there's no reason for the current one to suffer because of the predecessor's misdeeds. Ava is a bad person, but Sophia is a good girl. Why are you prejudiced against Sophia because of Ava? I'm not prejudiced against her. I just haven't gotten over this hurdle yet. You haven't gotten over that hurdle. You've been PUA'd by Ava for 7 years. You think you don't deserve true love and happiness. Hearing this, I couldn't help but be stunned. Was that so? Because of the pain and entanglement brought by the gains and losses and the on and off relationship, subconsciously, I doubted everyone and the whole world. I was convinced that I wouldn't get a wholehearted love. But why couldn't I get sincere love? Those who betray sincere feelings will suffer 1,000 needles in their hearts. But those who have loved seriously will surely have a new opportunity opened by heaven. Ryan, do you know how good you are? My brother patted my shoulder and took a sip of wine. You're handsome, in good shape, won scholarships every year, could make money to support yourself even in college, and even supported me, a useless guy. If you were a woman, I'd marry you even if it cost me my life. You deserve to be loved, Ryan. You deserve to be loved by the best woman in the world. Instead of wasting your time and energy on someone like Ava. Believe me, brother. She'll definitely regret it. For the rest of her life, she'll never be able to get over losing you. Now, call Sophia immediately. Also, cancel your plane ticket. Don't think I don't know that you're thinking of running away again. I looked at my brother, my eyes gradually getting moist. But do you think Sophia and I will end up like that too? No. Why? Because I believe that a girl who sticks to her original intention, sincere and innocent, will never be stupid enough to lose the person she loves after getting him. Do you think she's as stupid as Ava? I shook my head. Of course she wasn't Ava. So, call her now. You can't imagine how happy she'll be. I thought Sophia would be very happy. But I never expected that the pampered young lady, the deputy general manager of the group who took over the family business and achieved remarkable results, would be as happy as a child the moment she received my call. My brother looked at me smugly. Well, are you happy? I nodded. It seems, very happy. Look, you're happy and Sophia's even happier. Isn't that good enough? As he said this, he suddenly couldn't help laughing. Now whenever I think about how unhappy Ava will be in the future, I feel so good. Maybe not. She might already have someone new with her. I smiled faintly. Let's not mention her anymore in the future. At this moment, I could actually say such words so calmly. It seemed that that person really had nothing to do with me anymore. When Sophia's car arrived downstairs, I happened to be coming out of the bar. She stood in the night wind, smiling at me. I stopped and looked at her. Indeed, she was really good looking. Every part of her was in line with my aesthetic. Ava could like many men at the same time, and she was two-timing even before breaking up. Seamless transitions weren't even the worst thing about her. Then it was natural that there was nothing wrong with me being in a relationship after breaking up. I walked towards her, and she also walked quickly towards me. With people coming and going around, Sophia and I kissed as if there was nobody else around. Her heart was beating so fast. I touched the back of her neck and it was burning hot. Sophia, do you have a fever? She rested her forehead against mine, panting slightly, her voice soft. Ryan, I don't know what's wrong with me. Whenever I'm with you, I'll be like this. I chuckled and lowered my head to kiss her. Maybe, it'll be okay if we're together more often? Sophia's ears became even redder and hotter. After a while, she asked in a low voice, Ryan, what am I to you now? I deliberately teased her. What do you think? Are you a friend with benefits or my girlfriend? After asking, without waiting for my answer, she buried her face in my chest and said softly, forget it. Don't answer. I don't want to know now. I gently put my arm around her waist and held her closer. Really don't want to know? Girlfriend. 17 Ava's car stopped at the entrance of an alley. She got out of the car and walked deep into the alley on foot. There lived an old tailor whose ancestors had worked in the Jiangnan weaving bureau. Now that he was old, he had long refused to receive guests. But Ava had plenty of ways to persuade this old man. The wedding dress that Ryan had cut up was sent to the old master half a month ago. Today, it was almost completely restored. As she walked, she thought that what Luna said 2 days ago was right. It's not just women who long for marriage. Men also yearn to marry the girls they love. She and Ryan had been together for 7 years, but she had never thought about getting married. She hadn't even expected that Ryan had ever thought about proposing to her. She had really been a jerk these days. But those men were just her passing fancies. She hadn't been serious about them, even that college student who made Ryan break up and leave. He only kept her interested for 3 days. After getting to know him, she found him boring. In her heart, she was always thinking about Ryan. After 7 years of being together, she had indeed been tired and bored. But some people were like colorless and odorless air. Only when you lost them would you realize how important they were. Since Ryan left, she hadn't been able to muster any energy to do anything. When she was at gatherings with her girlfriends, her mind was full of him. Especially when she drank too much. If Ryan were there, he would surely pretend to be angry and stop her. If he couldn't stop her, he would make soup for her late at night, let her pillow on his knee, and massage her temples. His fingers were warm and strong. His nagging complaints and affectionate words were annoying at that time. But now, she missed them terribly. Ava thought that when Ryan came back this time, she decided to propose to him. She had actually known for a long time how much Ryan wanted to marry her. 18 The old master's craftsmanship was really excellent. The wedding dress had been restored to almost the same as it was originally. Ava paid the money. When she was about to leave, her phone suddenly rang. She felt inexplicably nervous. It wasn't until she saw Luna's name flashing on the screen that her wildly beating heart gradually calmed down. Ava, there's something I thought about and decided I should tell you. What is it? Don't get angry when you hear it. This might not be true. Maybe it's just baseless rumors. What on earth is it? Well, it's about Ryan. Forget it. I think it's probably just someone spreading rumors. Luna, what's wrong with Ryan? Is he back in Beijing? Ava. Luna suddenly felt an indescribable discomfort. How did it come to this? Why did Ryan have to be rumored to be with Sophia? Ava had never gotten along with her over the years, especially 2 years ago, because of a big project. Ava's company and Sophia's Chongqing Industrial fought tooth and nail. In the end, Sophia won by a narrow margin and got the project, while Ava returned defeated. That was the first time she had tasted the bitterness of defeat. As a result, the already tense relationship between the two became even more hostile. I've told you, don't get angry. Right now, it's all just hearsay. There's no real evidence. It's just that someone saw Ryan in Hong Kong. Ava's fingers gripping the phone suddenly tightened, but her voice could still be restrained and calm. What's he doing in Hong Kong? He seems to be with Sophia. Of course, they might just be having a meal together. There might be nothing else going on. I see. Ava, if there's nothing else, I'll hang up first. Ava hung up the phone. She was carrying the big paper bag, the one containing the wedding dress bought by Ryan. She walked step by step in the cold wind of early winter in Beijing. She walked all the way to the entrance of the alley, beside the car. Ava suddenly stopped. A faint, sarcastic smile slowly appeared on her delicate face. And in the next moment, the exquisite paper bag in her hand was thrown into the trash bin without hesitation. 19 In the second month after Ryan left, Ava had sent him a WeChat message. The message was sent successfully, but it was like a stone dropped into the sea without any response. The message was, I'm planning to sell the apartment. What should I do with your things? Maybe she forgot that Ryan had left her a note saying that she could handle everything here as she liked. Maybe she was just deliberately finding an excuse to send him a message. What Ava might be thinking was that this was a step she took the initiative to offer Ryan. If he was smart, he should know to take this opportunity. She seemed to have a bad temper, but actually, she was quite easy to coax. Ryan never replied. The apartment naturally wasn't sold either. Ryan's clothes and all his previous belongings were left as they were. It was as if he had never left here. Ava would always come here late at night. Then she would lie on Ryan's bed and stay awake until almost dawn. And in the third month after Ryan left, it was still the same late night. When the hour hand was about to point to 12, Ava dialed Ryan's phone number. 20 In college, Ryan was a very well-behaved and innocent boy. Although his family background was ordinary, he didn't have to worry about food and clothing. His parents loved him dearly but also disciplined him very strictly. It wasn't until the autumn of the year he graduated from college that Ryan started living with her. She still remembered that night. Both of them were so nervous that their whole bodies were shaking. At the end, Ryan hugged her, his eyes red. Ava, I will never let you down. We'll be together for a lifetime. I'll be good to you, take good care of you, and love you forever. Ava, we'll always be together, right? However, the Ryan who thought he would always be with the girl he loved had been lost by her for a long time. For so long that she could hardly even remember what expression he had on his face when they broke up for the last time. Was he smiling and nodding, or were his eyes red? The phone rang for quite a while. Just when she thought he wouldn't answer, the call got through. At that instant, actually, she wanted to say, Ryan, come back. But when she opened her mouth, what came out was, Ryan, come back when you've had enough fun. Her ridiculously stupid words were interrupted by a woman's gentle voice. That laugh was like hard and cold ice hitting her head on. Ava felt as if her whole body was wrapped in ice and couldn't move at all. President Ava, you can't wait until the next day to coax someone. Otherwise, someone else will snatch him away. Sophia? Ava gritted her teeth and said the name with her eyes red. It's me, Sophia. Where's Ryan? Let him answer the phone. She clenched the phone tightly, her voice trembling. Sophia, if you dare to take advantage of his vulnerability. He can't answer. Sophia lowered her head and gently kissed the sleeping man beside her. He's exhausted tonight and just fell asleep. If you have something urgent, I'll wake him up with a kiss first. Sophia. Ava's voice stopped abruptly. Sophia hung up the phone and turned it off casually. She lay down and gently hugged the sleeping man. And in his sleep, Ryan also hugged her tightly. Sophia, 21 actually, I had thought about what it would be like if I met Ava again. She came from a wealthy family and was extremely proud in her bones. We broke up in a peaceful way. If we really ran into each other someday, either she would pretend not to see me, or we could just nod and exchange greetings. After all, my parents and relatives were all in Beijing. Ava and I also had some mutual friends. It was impossible that we would never have any contact in our lifetime. However, I never expected that the pampered young lady who was always held in high regard by others would also have such haggard and helpless moments. At that time, I was in an extremely good mood and in excellent condition. I was wearing a black cashmere coat that was a couple style with Sophia. I was holding her and walking out of the revolving door, chatting and laughing. Then I saw Ava getting out of the car. I was stunned for a moment and stopped in my tracks. Sophia's warm fingers gently held mine. Ava's dress was a bit wrinkled, and her makeup was smudged. There was an unmistakable tiredness on her face, and her eyes were full of bloodshot. People were coming and going around us. The musical fountain not far away was playing cheerful music. This scene was like a slow-motion shot in a movie. Only I wasn't a spectator but one of the protagonists caught off guard. Sophia subconsciously tugged at my sleeve. Ava's expression gradually calmed down. She called my name gently as she did when we were passionately in love before. Ryan. I stood still. The cheerful music was still echoing in my ears. But somehow, I felt an indescribable sadness in my heart. Maybe it was for the Ryan who heard those hurtful words that night. Maybe it was for the Ryan who was suddenly informed of the breakup that day. Or maybe it was for the Ryan who had truly loved for 7 years but managed to let go completely in just 7 days. Ryan, I've come to take you back to Beijing. Ava didn't look at Sophia from start to finish. Her eyes were fixed on my face, incredibly gentle. I couldn't even remember how long it had been since she had looked at me like this before we broke up. Ava stopped about a meter in front of me. Ryan, we'll get married as soon as we go back. From now on, we'll live a good life together, okay? She was so serious that I almost thought that Ava who said she had fallen in love with another man not long ago was just my imagination. But it's too late, Ava. A broken heart can't be pieced back together. And the new heart that grew out of the mire already belongs to someone else. 22 I gently shook my head. Ava, you should leave. Ryan, I didn't have anything to do with that guy. I broke up with him in less than 3 days. The wedding dress you bought for me has been restored by an old master. And our couple's rings, I've also kept them well. Ryan, I've also customized a diamond ring. I'm serious. Ava's eyes were getting redder and her voice was faintly trembling. She held the exquisite diamond ring box in her hands and handed it to me like showing off a treasure. The longing and hope in her eyes were extremely cautious. Looking at her like this, I couldn't deny that I still felt a bit sad. But that was all there was to it. Ava, I already have a girlfriend. I tightly held Sophia's hand and pulled her into my arms. The color on Ava's face seemed to disappear in an instant. Her gaze slowly slid down. Finally, it stopped on the fingers where Sophia and I were holding hands. On our middle fingers, we were wearing a pair of couple's rings. Just like it was between her and me in the past. Ryan, are you serious? I took a deep breath, turned my face to look at Sophia, and then nodded vigorously. Yes, I'm serious. Ava suddenly let out a low laugh. Do you think she's serious about you? How much sincerity do you think she has? 2 years ago, she fought tooth and nail with me for a project. Now she's chasing you, Ryan. Do you think there's no self-interest in it? Does she dare to say frankly that when she's chasing you, she has no intention of competing with me, Ava? Ryan, you're still so naive. We've been together for 7 years, and so many things have happened between us. Do you think Sophia really won't mind at all? Do you think she can really be with you until the end of your lives, growing old together? Aren't you afraid that being with her will just be another 7 years like with me? 23 The cheerful music stopped at some point. Ava's voice also stopped. There was a moment of silence in my ears at first. Then there was a faint sound of something breaking gently. And after that sound, there was an indescribable sense of ease and relief. Look, I don't even have that last bit of sadness anymore. It's just a pity that why do people always have something to regret in life? Before today, I didn't regret loving Ava. After all, whether good or bad, it was all my experience. But at this moment, I couldn't help but deeply regret it. Why didn't I realize in 7 years that Ava actually never looked up to me in her heart? Yes, I'm just an ordinary person, but she's a wealthy young lady. In my eyes, we were in a serious relationship. But perhaps she just regarded me as a plaything. Sophia looked at me with eyes full of heartache. I was a bit pale but still smiled and shook my head at her. I'm okay, Sophia. Sophia stared at me for a while and then suddenly kissed me hard. Ryan, Sophia, have always had a clear conscience in everything I do and never regret anything. But right now, I really regret that I didn't snatch you from her back then. What right do you have to snatch him from me? Taking advantage of someone's vulnerability, what kind of good person are you, Sophia? Ava, you don't deserve Ryan's love and affection for you in these 7 years at all. Maybe this sentence completely enraged Ava. She had never lost her reason like this before and even said things without thinking. What about you, Sophia? You're chasing a man who was with me for 7 years. What face do you have to stand in front of me and spout such nonsense? What do you like about him? Do you purely like Ryan, or do you like Ryan because he was my man? 24 Sophia slapped Ava hard across the face. And Ava wasn't the kind of person who would take things lying down. She immediately slapped back. But I immediately grabbed her wrist tightly. Ava's face turned livid. Ryan, you saw it too. It was Sophia who hit first. Yes, she hit first, Miss Ava. I'll apologize to you on Sophia's behalf. I let go of her hand and firmly protected Sophia behind me. Ryan, are you protecting her like this? Tears fell from Ava's eyes one by one. She hit me first, Ryan. Then how do you want to solve this? Ryan, I'm injured. Ava pointed to her face. My face is swollen and it hurts terribly. I took a look and said calmly, then I'll call an ambulance for you. We'll cover all the expenses. Ryan, you know that's not what I want. Ava wanted to pull me but I dodged sideways. Ryan, all the emotions that Ava had been forcing herself to hold back shattered. She looked at me with a sad expression. But in my heart, there really were no more ripples. 25 Ava didn't say anything else. The setting sun quietly elongated her figure. Maybe it was when Ryan called Sophia's name. Maybe it was when Ryan immediately grabbed her wrist to stop her from hitting Sophia back. She finally clearly realized that Ryan really didn't love her anymore. That question Stella asked that day had actually come true. Ryan wouldn't come back to her side anymore. She thought that she was the one who could easily let go of the 7-year relationship. She thought that she was the one who took the initiative in this relationship. She thought that she would always be in control. But at this moment, she finally understood. The one who couldn't let go was her, Ava. Ryan was like the string that held the kite. Once the string was broken, the kite lost its direction and could never go home again. 26 I watched Ava turn around and walk towards the car, watched her lonely figure disappear. The sun at dusk was suddenly swallowed up by the horizon. The sky turned into a pale rose blue. Ava's car gradually drove away. It seemed that I saw the 7 years of Ryan's life from the age of 17 to 24 disappearing with the car roaring away, leaving no trace. I knew that from this day on, the name Ava would be just like every ordinary and common name in the world. I wouldn't deliberately forget it, but I would never take the initiative to think of it again. Ryan. Sophia gently hugged my waist. I turned around, looked up at her, and smiled softly. Let's go home. 27 On the night when I proposed to Sophia, I drank a lot of wine. Sophia was also drunk and said a lot of things while hugging me. But what I remembered seemed to be just the two simplest sentences. Ryan, we'll never have a 7-year period like that. Ryan, we'll never break up. Everyone must truly believe it at the moment when they make a vow. Later, when they break the vow, they think how could anyone believe such things? But I'm willing to believe Sophia. Actually, I'm believing in myself. I believe that true feelings will not be let down at least once. On the day Sophia and I got engaged, we received a gift sent from Beijing. It was the ring that Ava had given me before. There was also a card in the box. The handwriting on it was Ava's. She said, Ryan, I'll always be waiting for you. Sophia was beside me and also saw the card. She was a bit jealous. Too bad. I won't give her a chance. But that night, the ring disappeared without a trace. And I no longer cared about such insignificant things. 28 In the 3rd year after Sophia and I got married, she gave birth to our daughter, Ro. Soon after our daughter was born, Ava sent a lot of valuable gifts. I asked Sophia for her opinion. Our daughter doesn't lack these things. Let's donate them to the welfare home. Look at her. She's not getting married at her age but keeps staring at other people's husbands and children. She's just asking for trouble. I couldn't help but laugh. Why bother about other people's business? Sophia somehow became happy. In front of all the servants and nannies in the room, she grabbed my arm and shook it. Ryan, what you just said was so nice. Say it again, okay? I deliberately teased her. What did I say? Sophia pouted. That sentence just now, why bother about other people's business? I just found it funny, but also felt an indescribable heartache. In the 2 years after I graduated from college, Sophia was in the worst state. But after we got together, she never told me about it. She never showed any negative emotions in front of me either. Why bother about other people's business? The most important thing is that we live our own lives well. After saying this as she wished, I picked her up and put her on my lap. I kissed her slightly red ear and whispered in her ear, "Baby, our daughter is 2 months old. Let's go to bed early tonight." Ava's side story: when Ryan's daughter was 3 years old, the three of them went back to Beijing to visit relatives and stayed there for a few months. We had quite a few mutual friends, and they had parties almost every day. I naturally wouldn't participate. But after each party, I still couldn't help asking about him. They said that Ryan went to study in the United States for 2 years after getting married. During those 2 years, Sophia shuttled between Hong Kong and Paris without any complaints. Later, Ryan returned to Hong Kong and founded his own company, achieving some success. Sophia unconditionally supported all his decisions and choices. The only thing she wasn't quite satisfied with was that he often worked overtime and was so busy. He could have gone to Sophia's family group and been a wealthy idler, but he didn't. He became more and more handsome and outstanding. His relationship with Sophia was getting better and better. Their daughter was incredibly beautiful and looked a lot like Ryan when he was a child. Actually, he had never known that I still kept a photo of him when he was 5 years old in my wallet. Beijing was such a big city, yet the social circle was quite small. But Ava and Ryan never ran into each other once. One day at noon, I happened to see their daughter, Ro, in a cafeteria. She was hiding behind a rockery, secretly eating a box of ice cream. She was like a cute little squirrel with her mouth stuffed full. My steps stopped uncontrollably, and I just watched her, reluctant to take my eyes off her. Soon, I heard Ryan calling her name. She heard it too, her eyes widened in fright, and she didn't know what to do while clutching the ice cream box. I walked over as if possessed, squatted down, and asked her softly, "Are you afraid that Dad will find out you're sneaking ice cream?" She nodded, her big eyes rolling around, looking especially clever. "Auntie, can you help me hide?" She was a bit hesitant and looked at me for quite a while. As if she was sure that I wasn't a bad person, she nodded again. I picked her up. She was so small, fragrant and soft, lying in my arms. Her little hands were playing with the accessories on my dress, and suddenly she said in a childish voice, "Auntie, do you know me?" My throat seemed to be blocked by something, feeling bitter and astringent. And everything in front of me gradually became blurry. If I could go back to that year, that night, I wouldn't let all that happen again. Ryan would be my husband. We will get married in Beijing, and I will bear children for him. I lifted my face, held back my tears, and then lowered my head to smile at her. "Yes, Auntie knows you. Then do you know my name?" She wrapped her soft little hands around me. "I'll tell you secretly. My pet name is Ro. Because Daddy calls Mommy Sophia, and I'm chubby, so my pet name is Ro. Is that so? Then it's really a nice name." I kissed her soft little face. "All right, we can't hide for too long, or Mommy will be worried." She nodded obediently. "Then I'll have one more bite of the ice cream, just one bite." She took a big bite and gave me a sly smile like a little kitten. I stroked her hair. "Go find Daddy quickly." I watched her walk away. Her princess dress was like a blooming flower, blooming brightly in Ryan's arms from a distance. I didn't look at Ryan a second time. I was afraid that I would burst into uncontrollable sobs in the crowded hall. Ryan won't care about anything related to me, and Sophia must think I'm ridiculous. Yes, the first half of my life has been so absurd and laughable. And for the rest of my life, even this absurdity and ridiculousness have become delusions.